Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hey, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. Hope you had a good Mother's Day. It feels like it's been forever. I want to adjust the face cam a little bit. Hi everyone. How was your vacation, Sydney? Anna, you're the one who ordered the binding, right? Thank you. I created your label on Saturday, and then I forgot to put it in the mailbox on Monday, but it went out today. I'm so sorry. I'm usually really good about that, but it was in my bag, so. Hi, Kim. Hi, Malin. Hi, Margaret, Aisha, Terry, Fiona. How are you guys? How's it going? All right, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Like seeing my table in there, it makes it look like it's the top of my computer to me, which is annoying to me. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. It went out today. It'll probably be there by Saturday. Okay. Oh, don't put that there, Saremy. So, speaking of Mother's Day, my mom, like last month, asked for a Mother's Day gift, which she never does. We don't like do a big deal for Mother's Day or anything. It's not a big deal in my house. Oh, that's awesome, Sydney. Yeah, you needed a little bit more. This is your note to yourself that you need to schedule another one now, or at least the weekend, right? So she made a request for a sunscreen top. I think I mentioned this, and I'm like, well, I'll just make that for you. It doesn't have to be a Mother's Day gift. And so I found some sunscreen fabric. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I'm doing good. I had a friend visit this weekend totally out of the blue, and I don't really have a whole lot of like people I hang out with in this area, and so it was a huge treat. My husband went out of town on Saturday for work. He's home tomorrow. And so it was kind of nice, like it was just me and her, you know, like my husband was so sad to miss her because they're good friends too. But it ended up being really fun. So, and chill. She and I are kind of similar in our schedules and stuff. So yeah, it was awesome. I'm doing good. It's May. Yeah, I just need to leave now. Okay, I'm fine with that, Sydney, with my permission. Oh man, sorry, I'm itchy. Okay, so I found some sunscreen fabric. There's only one thing I'm a little concerned about with it, and that's that I don't know which is the right or wrong side. And that sometimes is very important when you're buying fabrics that are treated for something like this. And all fabrics do have an SPF or a sunscreen rating. I don't know what they are. It's been years and years since I had to look at that. And that actually wasn't my project when I worked somewhere and we did sunscreen clothing. I was just in the room, so I knew a lot about it because it was being developed around me, you know? So I know enough to know I don't know a lot. And I probably know more still than others, but man, any kind of technical fabrics in the world, that stuff is constantly changing and evolving, getting better and better and better. And they've come a long way. And there's been definitely go one extreme to the other extreme. Like I've seen waterproof cotton fabric before and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't like groovy at all. It was like they basically dipped cotton in plastic. Like it's not a natural fiber anymore, you know. So you do see some really crazy things in the technical fabric world, and it's constantly changing. And it's basically the chemical industry when you get into the technical thing, and that's why it's kind of really hard to keep up on. So there you go, Anna. So I got this from Rocky Woods in Colorado. It was very affordable. If you need me to tell you what it was, I can. I can't remember what it was called. They have a few. They're not very like in depth with the information. And like I said, it didn't come to me with like a sticker on the fabric telling me which was the right or wrong side. So I'm hoping that it'll be fine. I did wash it and it softened up a lot. It's very soft and it's very thin and lightweight. It also has a moisture wicking property. It gets very, very, very hot where I live. And this is a great solution if you want to be still outside a little bit. Even in the morning, like it doesn't even matter. The sun just kind of cooks you here. Hey, Rachel. Hello, Nancy. How are you? Nancy, you must be getting very close to your retirement. Are you getting close? All right, so we're not probably going to touch this fabric today. And she picked this greenish sage color. I just got two. This one, I feel like if I wear it, it's going to look like I'm naked out there. Oh, sorry, I just whacked the microphone. I'll have to put some, if I make one for me, I'm going to put some contrast on it so it looks like I'm wearing clothes. All right, so I just want to share a couple things I got just for fun. Because my friend was in town, I did a few things I don't normally do, and one of them was we went to a couple stores, because here is a big city for her. I live very, very rurally, but there is kind of a big town, a college town nearby, like 20 minutes away, and that town is bigger than anything where she lives, and so we were like in the big city for her. So we went to a world market. They had 3 of these napkins. I always buy their, I'm wearing a shirt made from the World Market napkins. It's so, like, they have such great prints. They're so fun. So, you're retired now. Whoa. Congratulations, Nancy. Just so y'all know. Hey, Michelle. Nancy, I think, was Nancy and probably, I have to look back because she's probably one of my first viewers. I think Nancy found me on my first day of streaming like 4 years ago. And she's been talking about retirement for a while, so that's pretty awesome. All right, I also ordered fabric from Hearts, and so I had gotten this really cute what's it called? Wildland? Wait. Woodland. I think it's called Woodland Creatures. But see, there's a lot of critters on it. See, there's a bear. It's got a dark navy background, a skunk. It's a little novel, but I got it because I love the colors of it, and then I decided that at some point I really want to make a Scirocco jumpsuit as a dress. So I'm going to take the shorts and make them into a skirt. And I was going to use this fabric, just popped in my head to do that with, and I didn't have enough. And it's so funny because someone recently asked me if I would sew their daughter a Scirocco jumpsuit in this fabric, but just a straight up jumpsuit. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But I know Hearts Fabric loves this fabric and they keep reordering it. So I got a little more of that. And I bought myself a ton of muslin, and some of it I cut off and washed to have as interfacing because I'm going back old school. I'm not going to do this fusible woven junk anymore because I'm kind of upset about it right now. So yeah. So that was my fun little stuff that I got recently. I'll set it aside. All right, so let's talk patterns because we have quite a pattern drafting thing today. Yeah, you've been counting over 5 years, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, so I have not made my mom a lot of clothes. I think I made her one thing recently for her birthday, and I made her the Piper boho tunic by Wardrobe by Me patterns. I have made that on a live stream before, and I made hers off camera because it was a gift and I didn't want to know about it. And I made it in a really beautiful linen. And so that was kind of the first thing I've sewn my mom that's a woven in a really long time. So it was a really good test of sizing. Since I made that, I got her measurements, and I think the only thing I had to do is I think I had to shorten the sleeves, but I left them long just in case, like I knew I would have to do that. Pretty sure that's all I had to do to them. Oh, I don't remember now. But so that is my, that's all I've got. So her feedback on the Piper tunic, which looks like this, by the way. Hers is there's a lot of variations. All the Wardrobe by Me patterns have a lot of variations. And hers was the one that, it had these sleeves, it had a split hem, and then the front didn't have the ties, but it had a little bit of elastic smocking right here at the base. So that was her style. Her feedback is that the armholes are really tight underneath. My mom is very small, by the way, very small. She's 5'1" also, so she's petite. And I'm definitely the big clod of the family, like legit. I am taller than my brother. My brother and I are about the same height. My sister, I dwarf my sister in weight and size. Because I'm from a different dad. And my mom is pretty petite, and so is my sister. And my brother isn't that tall either, because their dad isn't like incredibly tall. Like my real dad, he's kind of tall. So I'm the big clod of the family. So I never have clothes that fit my mom, and so it's kind of hard to sew for someone a different size, especially if they're a lot smaller, because it's like you can't imagine like, oh my God, this is gonna fit them, you know. So this is my little. This is how I'm going to gauge how this is going to fit her. So I've got those pattern pieces out right here. And all I've pulled out is the front and the back and the sleeve. But her feedback is that the armhole is really tight. And when I look at this cap is very shallow, I can tell. And the armhole is very small. Those are easy fixes. If you're in my guild and you have the sleeve fitting thing, we could address this, right? But I don't have her here to get some hard measurements. So here's my other plan. The things I'm thinking about when I'm drafting something. Oh, let me show you what I'm making. I've been living with this for the last couple of days, so you don't know. Okay, so here's the design. So I asked my mom yesterday, what do you want in your sunblock top? She wanted a hood. That really surprised me. And it's because she doesn't wear hats, and she just wants to be able to throw it on really quick. She wants it to be full zip. She just wants really basic pockets on the front. She doesn't want any cinching on the bottom, so it's loose, so it's not, you know, too hot. She does want elastic sleeves, probably so they're not flapping around and catching on things. And then I offered the chest pocket that you see right here. So when I was in the outdoor industry, right, Fiona, yeah. I feel like this little pocket right here is really handy, as long as you remember to zip it if it's got something precious in it. But she just wants to have a tissue or something like that. One little zippered pocket right here. She was down for that. So the things that I'm doing that are probably going to be interesting to some folks drafting this kind of stuff is I'm going to put a back vent in it. I hope I have mesh. I forgot to check that. A back vent, and I might put underarm vents as well. And I was thinking about making the underarm vents zippered, and I realized that's overkill. We don't need that because this is purely something that's going to be worn on a hot, sunny day. We know the environment it's going to be in. It is not a rain thing. It's nothing. Yeah, I don't know, Nancy. So, oh, you are, Terry? Don't forget the flap isn't functional. Don't you love? I love to remind everybody of that because it just triggers me a little bit. So Nancy, what I drew on this, do you see right here? I drew a bill or like a visor. I'm not sure about that, but I feel like there's some potential with that because I have drafted, yeah. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is one of my designs from a really long time ago. So this was I used to work for an outdoor company called Cocatat. And my jacket is delambing. See, this is when I say it's delambing. You see, like the waterproof breathable tape is coming off. This is perfectly acceptable. It is old. But look at this. So this was a design I did, and as a going away gift, they gave me one, and they modified it for streetwear. So they made it a full zip. So this is for like pretty serious outdoor stuff, water stuff. So look, this has a little bill. You see that? The hood is quite cinched. Oh, and I have it like knotted there. We can undo that a little bit. And it has a little bit of fast drying foam in there. And so when it's over the face, see the profile there? This hood is designed so that you have a little bit of a shelf above your face for water, for rain, and you can cinch the whole thing really tightly and still move your head, and the hood stays right here. Took me months to design it. It also has a single pull closure. So like this was, back then, this was pretty innovative. So you could pull this, cinch your thing with one hand, okay? So I'm not gonna draft the hood like this, but this is kind of the idea I'm going for, like a little hood, because I'm not gonna over-engineer this thing. Yeah, a built-in visor, exactly, Kim. Yeah, because I think like maybe that could be, I totally forgot I have this jacket here. This is great. You know, because you'd get a little bit of sun protection there. Cool. All right, well, we have this kind of as a guide. And this one has a, yeah, it has a chest pocket. It has hand warmer pockets, so there's fleece right here. And then, yeah, and then the secure pockets are right here. You access them like this. And then it has a drain in it. There's actually a drain so that if you fall off your boat, this is for sea kayaking, you don't drown. Right, Mullen? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that took a long time. I got about 9 months to design the collection that was with. It was like 3 pieces, I think. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But see, that's the difference between working in the fashion industry and the outdoor industry. So you can only see your chat on your phone, and I hear you replying to people, but I can't see their chat. Open stream on my computer. No, now I see it all. Well, that's weird. Yeah. Yeah, right, Mullen. I'm sure where you live, that would be really useful. And there's plenty of jackets like that out there in the world, and they work great. Like, if they exist now. If you think, like, you're just like, I am tired of a raincoat that doesn't work, go to a proper outdoor store. Don't buy it at, you know, Walmart or, is there Sears anymore? You know, places like that. Go to a proper outdoor store. Find something. There's a lot of really great technical outerwear out there. All right, so here's my idea. Because of those features, these are the things I'm looking for as a starting point of my pattern. I'm concerned the most about the neckline placement and the armhole placement. And the reason being is I really need this to be really comfortable, something she can move around in and like pick up a pot. You know, she even said, I really need to be able to move around. She's like, I flail my arms a lot. She doesn't, but, and then the neck placement for the hood is really important. And so what I decided to do was look through all of my patterns. What do I have that is got a hood on it. And weirdly, I have no women's clothes with hoods besides, I forgot the Kelly anorak. I have the Kelly anorak. But you know what? That hood is gigantic. That hood is gigantic. Who said you're making the Kelly? Terry. Terry knows that. Yeah. Oh, okay, Nancy, good. So this is what I've done. I pulled out the Sierra fleece pullover, men's pattern, by the way. And then I also pulled out the Love Notions North Star hoodie. Wait, what's it called? North Star pullover. It's not really the kind of hood I want because there's kind of two different types of hood. There's the one with the center seam and, you know, the opening goes down to the neckline, kind of like a sweatshirt hoodie. And then there's this kind, like I just showed you on that green jacket, where it has a little bit of a collar in the front and it's got shaping. This is a better fitting hood, by the way. If you're ever doing any outerwear, this is the better fitting kind of style of hood you want. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to make something a little looser like Nancy was saying. All right, let's get to it. Let me move this thing. I really need to put that on a hanger. Like those bins over there always look messy, and now I know why. It's because that jacket's just like schlumped. So I got out the pattern that I used for the Piper just as a guide, and what I'm going to do as my base mainly is the Sierra Fleece Pullover by 5 out of 4 Patterns in the second smallest size, the small. And thankfully, when I made this for my brother, I accidentally printed the extra small and the large, so I didn't have to print this again. So, all right, let me get some paper here. So what are you all up to? Yeah, 3-piece hood, there you go. Yeah, the 3-piece hood is the way to go if you really want to be able to turn your head and not be looking at the inside of your hood. And then when you do the cinching, like if you want to play around with cinching your hood so that it does stay put, you need a horizontal adjustment and you need a vertical adjustment. And the horizontal adjustment is typically going to be something like elastic cording. But you don't have to do something that sophisticated. You could just even stitch a piece of elastic if you got it right. And it's always fixed in that, you know, position. And then a little Velcro vertical thing to pull it and kind of get it in the right spot. Because if you're just making it for one person, it doesn't have to be that adjustable unless you're like, well, sometimes I just want a nice loose hood. And other times I want it to be really tight. Like if you're going on a hike, you want to be able to turn your head and it's raining on you. Oh, cool, Fiona. All right, sorry, I know the paper's kind of loud. Let's just get a few pieces here. I'm kind of tempted to just use these pattern pieces because I don't think I'll be making this again anytime soon. And that would save me some paper. So let's just cut this up into a few usable pieces. I'm using the back of another pattern that I'm not going to use. I do that a lot to save paper. I'm sure you can imagine how much paper I go through. All right, now we have some paper handy. Makes it a lot easier if you just get everything kind of set up. I sort of want that sketch sitting, you know what, maybe I will print it. Where is that? Oh, here we go. I'm gonna just print this. Can I do that? I think I can, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Oh no. Shoot. It was on portrait. I mean landscape. Why is that the default? Here it is. Shrink to fit. Isn't there a shrink to fit? I don't know why this this interface is like this now. I don't like it. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, the Love Notions Ballard blouse. Which one's that? You're knitting a sock? First attempt. Wish you luck. Good luck. I love knitting socks. I never knit a lot of socks because I don't like wearing them. I hate admitting that, but it's just true. I wear a lot of clogs and they're just a little too uncomfortable. There we go. Oh, this looks so professional. Mostly chilling. You guys are ready for the sewing bee? Just rub it in. You're frozen with possibilities. Nice, Nancy. Which ones did you get? Jilly Jeans by Stylac. Nope. Mostly chilling tonight. Almost done with a pair of free range slacks. Nice. You're knitting corrugated ribbing for a Fair Isle hat. Oh, I love Fair Isle. Okay, let's get rid of all this. Okay, here's my, gosh, that looks so professional. I just drew it in Procreate. All right, let's put that there. So I feel like this fleece pullover, oh, I have some measurements of my mom too. Let's write those down. I hid my phone somewhere. I don't know where it's at. Here it is. Let me get her measurements. Okay. I really did do a ton before the stream. Across shoulder, sleeve, hip, HPS is 24. That's what I was just looking for. Wrist, 7. All right. So the measurements I got were, and I just kind of these are the key measurements. Like, you know, when you want to measure someone and you're like, they're a little awkward about it and they're uncomfortable. These are the key ones I get. I get the chest circumference. I don't get the waist because unless I'm doing something really fitted, I'm not too worried about it. The hip is really important, and I would go back and get the waist if I needed. I get the high point at shoulder, which is this part right here. So it's at this point at the neck, right where it meets your shoulder, straight down to where you, you know, like pick a point, like, oh, high point of shoulder to waist, hip, or something like that. And I got it to her hip, or where she likes a garment to end. Sleeve length, I always do sleeve length from center back neck all the way to the wrist with the elbow bent. So I go, hip, and then wrist circumference. I needed that for what I was working on the other day. So those are the things I got. So let's look at this high point at shoulder here. 18. Okay, so this is definitely long enough. And then the, but we're also going to look at 18. This is 24. I'm just going to write a few things down. And as far as the chest goes, her chest is 34. 16, that is 17. Eleven and a half, 22, 23. 23 plus 17 is 40. So that would be 6 inches of positive ease. And that's what the hip would be. So we're probably going to need to add to the hip. Hers is 38. 2 inches of ease is about what you would have if you just wanted a garment that's kind of skimming the body and comfortable. So the aria dress from Made for Mermaids put together, Kelly Mermaid Sunday V-neck. Nice. You hack to a not V-neck. How do you like the sleeve on that Sunday V-neck? All this jean talk recently has piqued my interest in starting wearing jeans in 4 years. Cool. Yeah, I think we should, if you're in the guild, I think someday we should just go through the motions of doing the top down center out fitting method. And I was thinking what the jeans that Mullen just finished, the So House 7 free range slacks would be a really good fit for that. Oh, cool, Terry. You're doing the quadras? Nice. You don't like wearing the hand socks either? That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know why. They're just, like, even if I did a really fine yarn, I just felt every stitch. And I think it's because clogs are so stiff and hard. Maybe in tennis shoes it would be fine. So I love knitting them because you don't have to do any step for very long. So if you're like someone that likes to get to the next thing, like the longest part is like the foot and then the cuff, you know. And it's not even that long. Like I knit sweaters and I'm still like, oh my God, you know. All right, so this is the sleeve. This sleeve looks kind of crazy here, and it's because the pattern pieces are taped. This is the line to tape the pattern pieces. I had to draw the grain line on there because it's either not here or it was dinky. And this is a pattern that has color blocking on the sleeves. And so I taped it back on here. So that's why it looks kind of crazy. All right, I want to do the across shoulder. This is really important. I think the across shoulder is hands down, one of the most important measurements on a garment. So this one is 16. So we can probably bring this in a tiny, tiny bit. But we kind of want it to be loose too. Let's see what the sleeve depth. Yeah, sleeve depth looks okay. It looks a little low. I'm gonna trim this off and this off. That's so that I look at the correct line. Yeah, but couldn't you? That's true. I was just thinking the silhouette of the free range, because you can't do something too fitted, you know? All right, so this length, 24, let's see. I want to see where 24 would be at on me. Let's see. Like I said, I'm much taller than my mom. And that would be... that would definitely be long enough. So let's not do that any longer. So I'm gonna square across, and I'm gonna add a 3/4 inch hem. None of this is set in stone. I'm also gonna add, I'm gonna add to the hip circumference. So her hip is 38. That has a 6-inch ease in the chest, which seems kind of pretty good. So maybe we could do something like that. Let's see. This pattern piece is on the fold, and I need to add the seam allowance for the zipper. All right, so 18. This is 8 and 16, 17 1/4. So let's add 1 inch. This was a men's pattern, so there's not much shaping in it. You start using Sharpies here. Okay, might not be like this forever, but all right, now I want to square to my hemline here and blend it in. You always want right angles here. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? I'm going to add a 3/8 inch seam allowance on the center front here. Okay. I'm also going to smooth this armhole out a little bit. And I'm going to make it more of a right angle right here. I kind of want to bring it up, to be honest, like this. I know that's eyeballing, but that is such a huge armhole. And then this right here is also a little bit funky. Okay. This pattern I'm using was meant for sweatshirt fleece. So something with a little bit of stretch. Okay, so let's just cut off a lot of this so we can see our pattern a little better. Like that. So our eye goes to what we're considering. All right, so that's kind of a rough draft. That armhole looks so gigantic. Let's compare it to the Piper. The one we know is too small. Wait, do you see the difference? I mean, it's like so high up there. I still think we can bring it up a little bit. A bigger armhole is not greater range of motion. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Muscle butt. No, not really, Fiona. It's very drapey. When it came to me before I washed it, it had a little bit more body. It was a little stiffer, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of scratchy. And as soon as I washed it, it got really nice. It's like a, do you know what Supplex is? Or it's like Supplex. Feels just like it. All right, so now let's make some of these same changes to our back. So far I've kind of raised the armhole about 3/4 right here, something like that. And then we went out about 1 inch here. So let's just draw our, I'm gonna get the centers parallel so that it's balanced. And then I'm just gonna transfer this side seam to the back using a tracing wheel. Oh man. Oh man. Line up the old one. Get the centers lined up. Okay, let me make sure I know which dots I'm going for. All right, and then here. Yeah, all right, so let's draw that in. When she originally asked for this, I was picturing it a pullover. But she's like, nah, I just want to be able to open it up really easily. And you know, I actually like the idea of a full zip. I never see full zip SPF shirts. I'm sure they're out there. I don't shop for them. I've seen button-up ones so that you look like, you know, like when you're on vacation, you just look like you're wearing a button-down shirt, but it's SPF material. Duoplex. I don't know. What's Duoplex? Is Duoplex stretchy? Is Duoplex multi-layered too? I feel like that's a 2-layer. Kind of think like, well, I was going to say tent, but it's not. It's not tent fabric. It's more like a ripstop. Okay, so now we have our back here. As a person who wears glasses, and occasionally I do wear them out into the yard, I would not want to pull over. I just get so annoyed, you know, when you forget your glasses are on, you start taking something off, and you know the story. This shoulder doesn't, I can tell it doesn't match. So let's, I don't know why that is. I think I do kind of remember that, but I don't know. Okay. Okay, so right now this is like our template. I'm not worried about the sleeve yet. I know I've changed the armhole here, but that's a really easy fix, by the way. And this sleeve, okay, I know this is really hard to see, but I'll draw it in. This right here is the center line, okay? I want you to focus on that. This right here is the cap of the size extra small. Look at that. That's the underarm seam. Yeah, that looks really weird. That is a really weird sleeve shape. Normally you'd have something more like this. Even that is like, thumbs up. Thumbs up there. I don't think I would raise this to match that. How is that matching? I mean, I don't get it. How did that work? That does not look right. I did the large. Anyway, we're not working on that one, are we? Right, Michelle? Like, yeah. I mean, it's this kind of a drop shoulder, but so you can tell, like, you see how shallow this armhole is, like from this shoulder point right here to this underarm here, even if you looked at the original, right? This difference right here is very shallow, right? Which means that it's kind of a dropped shoulder. And so you would have a very shallow cap. I don't know if it would be that shallow though. It just looks really odd. Like there's no contour here. But you know, we've seen t-shirts, right? Like a lot of t-shirt sleeves look like this. They look like that. They're very flat, you know, so. It's not stretchy. It's used for bra cups. Oh. Oh. Yeah, it's not like that. What do you use this for? You guys know this fabric. All right, so I'm a little worried about the sleeve. Okay, so let's just keep moving along. I mean, it worked for my brother, but I made him like the large or the extra large, and it's kind of a loose fitting garment, and he's not going to complain about anything. That's my brother. He's the sweetest, sweetest guy. He's just like, you made me something? He's like the happiest puppy ever. So he's the best recipient of handmade things. So, and he wears the things I make. Every time I see him, he's wearing something I made him. So that's how you get more handmade things. Okay, so the other thing that I'm not really liking right now is the shoulder. The shoulder area looks funny to me right now. Like, I don't know why this one was so wide. I know I just made it narrower, and it looks really tall. All right, so let's just get our Piper here. I just want to look at the Piper. This is the front. Oh, this is the front. And see, look at the Piper has a very dropped shoulder. Very dropped shoulder. This is the pattern piece. Look at that. It's more dropped than the men's. Hey, Vestigia, how's it going? How are you doing? Oh, this is the front view of a different view. Okay. Oh, I don't have the back out. I had the front, two fronts. Okay. All right, well, let's look at this too. Like this sleeve has more contour here. Oh. You know what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna make a muslin and run over to her house after the stream today and try it on her. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's start doing our style lines and clean all this up. I'm gonna get rid of all this. This is Piper. We'll put you here. I'm gonna make 3 piles. I think I'm gonna transfer this so it's clean. I thought I felt something weird down here. Yeah, and then I think we'll do this like we did the overalls, right? Like I tried them on Michael before we sewed, and that was really good to do. I felt really good going into that project because we tried it on him. Oh, shoot. There we go. My daughter was just FaceTiming me. I don't think she would have appreciated it if I had answered. Hi, say hi to the chat. Look at that armhole. It's gigantic. She wants to wear this over clothes, you know? Like this isn't like a next to skin garment. It's a little jacket. We're basically making her a hoodie. You're in a sewing rut. Oh, man. Oh, maternity-friendly patterns. Well, I never sewed any maternity clothing, but I do know, like, someone else might know maternity, but I do know that there's a lot of nursing-friendly patterns out there. Hey, Shem, how's it going? Late is always on time, no worries. Just looking for a piece of paper right now. Like I know 5 out of 4 does a lot of nursing friendly. I don't know if that's what you're looking for. But are you wanting stuff for you or are you wanting, I mean, 8 months. You're not going to get to wear it for very long. I think you should do something selfish. I think you should do some selfish sewing, you know? I'm just transferring this pattern piece to another piece of paper. This isn't how I would do this if this was professional, just so you know. I always do this on my pieces that are cut on the fold. That's just my little thing. So that I don't accidentally cut them not on the fold. And then I need to mark the center back. You looking forward to this all day? Even had a reminder. Me too. I know, Shem. I know what you mean. You haven't missed, I don't feel like you've missed a whole lot. So I think the things that you would have found interesting are, this is so crooked right here. Not that, but I mean, my dots are actually a little off right here. See, this isn't the best ruler for like a long, nice, long, accurate, straight line. Like I said, not a professional pattern. I think the thing that you would have found interesting, Shim, is what I looked for in a pattern, a starting pattern to draft this one. So I'm making my mom this Sunblock top. And she wanted this list of features. She wanted a hood, interestingly. She just wanted basic kangaroo pockets, full zip. I added the chest pocket and I offered to do a back vent and the underarm vents because it's really hot here, and elastic cuffs. And I'm going to put a little visor on the, like a little bill there at the top of the hood. And I think I'm basically making a hoodie out of sunscreen fabric. I decided to start with the Sierra fleece top by 5 out of 4 patterns because it's kind of the same silhouette. And I'm kind of comparing it to the only top I've made her recently, which is the Piper tunic by Wardrobe by Me. And she has like a couple of things about that she would want altered if she had another one. So the things I'm looking for the most in a pattern for a starting point were the neckline and the armhole, because I always want to know where the neckline is for a hood. Like getting the hood placement is really important. You don't want that neckline. You don't want to use, I didn't want to use the Piper. That neckline's low, too low for that. And then the armhole, obviously, because you just need a good fit there. No, it's going to have a hood. So I offered this as an option. I was like, are you sure you want a hood? Because I can just make like a tall collar to protect the back of your neck or something. And she said, she thought about it and she's like, no, I actually do want a hood because I don't like wearing a hat out in the garden. I don't tend to put one on. And so she just wants to be able to like kind of throw it on really quick. So that is where I'm at. So all I've done right now is I printed out I didn't print it out, but I had the 5 out of 4 fleece top. It's men's. I used the smallest size with her measurements, and I'm kind of starting there. So right now, this is what I got. I'm going to do, the armhole and the sleeve are kind of the thing bugging me right now. And so it's made me decide that I'm going to definitely do a muslin, right? We can't go wrong with doing a muslin. And I just got a whole bolt of it in, so we have enough, which is great. Yeah, that's true, Mullen. Oh, a robe is nice. Would be nice. All right, so this sleeve is symmetrical on the fold line, which, you know, but it was meant for knits, so that's why they can get away with that. This is all going to get a little more interesting in a second, because I'm going to start doing the style lines and all the things like the vent on the back and the hood, the pockets, the fun stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah, she would actually, I don't know. You know, I hate admitting this, but mosquitoes don't like me. But yeah, that would actually be kind of a nice thing, wouldn't it? All right, so I'm going to wing this right now. So I feel like the armhole, I raised it on the shirt, on the armhole there. Let's look at this. Let's be a little bit more. Let's measure our armhole. So this has 3/8 inch seam allowance. And so this is how I measure an armhole. I always take off the seam allowance at the shoulder. Okay. And then I measure the whole armhole, and I include the seam allowance of the side seam here, but I'll draw it in so you can kind of see it there. Right? But I'm going to include it all the way to the cut edge, and I'll tell you why in a second. So let's put this on the seam line, and it's 9 7/8. And then I'm going to do this on the front armhole. And it is 10 1/8. Why is the front armhole bigger? I knew starting with this pattern would be a problem. Okay, so back armhole should always be bigger. 10 1/8 and 9 7/8. And this might be due to this shoulder being so high up. I don't know. All right, so that means that it's a 20-inch armhole. So now let's measure our sleeve cap. I'm going to measure it on the original line. And it's nowhere near that. It is nowhere near that. Okay. Is this just like in the wrong place? No. That is weird. Okay, I'm kind of glad, because then I can get more shape in this armhole. It's way out here. This is the original. Okay. Okay. This sleeve will be too long for her. But we'll fix that in a second too. I should probably, well, I don't know. I'm not working on this pattern right now, but I can't remember if I had issues with it. I think I did when I set the sleeve on. That's what's interesting. That seems kind of familiar. But that's huge. That's a huge difference. I should look back at the video. I'll be able to tell if I'm struggling a little. Hi, Brinja. How's it going? Alex, how's it going, Alex? Does she keep bees? No. Yeah, that would be awesome. So I don't know. I didn't change the shoulder seam placement. I don't know. It just looks really, it's, you know what it is that for that shirt, the Sierra fleece pullover, which has a collar, for it to have a collar, that means the neck should be pretty close. And I'm wondering if it isn't, because this looks very scooped for a collared shirt. And I'm not sure if it's that, like if this were, if the shoulder were shorter, right? Let's look at it like this. It would look a little bit more normal, but the armhole looks kind of nutty too to me. So the muslin's going to be important. Yeah, that's cool. There's so many robe patterns right now too. I've sewn a lot of them, and a lot of them now are like not available because they were named poorly. So they've been taken out of circulation. But I did the Haori, now known as the Unlined Jacket. I've done the Osaka Kimono by Named Clothing, which was a sprout pattern at the time, and I was desperate for something then. I've done the Suki robe, which is now, I think, just called the Dressing Robe by Helen's Closet. Isn't there one other one? Anyway. Oh, there you go. The lavender robe. I have the Compose robe by Love Notions, and I haven't made it. That sleeve looks better, by the way. That looks a lot better. Okay. Let's just cut a bunch of this paper off here. All right. Paring it down here. Okay. So now I have the Love Notions North Star hoodie. I have made the pullover version, not the hoodie version. And I got these pieces out. So I have the hood, which you can't tell right here, but this is a hood. Here, I'll draw it on for you. This is the hood pattern pieces. Right? And then this is the center panel. This is actually like the Kelly Anorak, is this same style hood, but the Kelly Anorak is gigantic. I can't stress that enough. Don't think, oh, it won't be gigantic for me. Test it out. It's huge. All right, and then this is a neck. So I printed the neck that goes with this hood. You can't just take a hood from one pattern and then plop it onto another without making sure that it's actually going to work. Why is there a sleeve? Okay, this is the front and this is the back. This is such a pet peeve when they do the front and the back are opposites. So I can't lay them on top of each other because it's the left back and the right front or something like that. So now I have to cut out the whole piece and lay it on here. I didn't print out the whole piece here, so that's why the shoulder's not going to match there. Let me use some removable tape. And so then there's that neckline. So look at how much tighter this neckline is compared to my pattern right now. It's quite a bit different. Okay. Everything goes on the floor. All right. Yeah, look at that. It is quite a bit different. I added 3/8 inch seam allowance. Yeah, this is the pattern piece that I just designed, right? And this is the front and the back taped together of the hoodie, front and back. Hey Donna, how's it going? They're almost the same, Michelle. Yeah, oh, on the sleeve. Yeah, they are, because that was a stretch pattern. Yeah, there was, Shim. I was trying to remember which one that was. It looked good. All right, so we've added 3/8 of an inch to this edge here on this piece I've drafted. So I'm going to lay it there because this one is pretty sure on the fold. Yep. Oh, no, it's cut too. Okay, we can line those up together. All right, so this is where this is landing. Now, when you see your shoulder lines, if they're at a different angle from another pattern, that's okay, as long as if you've got them taped together, your necklines are still kind of in line with each other. So people put shoulder lines in some really crazy places, and it's just how it is. All right, so we're going to overlap this one. All right, so can you see the difference? See this little, look at this little curve here. And this fold line is the center back, whereas this one here would be also the center back. So if I walked the neckline around, this one is still a tiny bit bigger, but not as much as it looks. So I think what I'm going to do, is I'm going to fill in this little weird thing right here. And then, yeah, I'm going to fill that in a little bit. So my neckline matches the pattern I'll be using the hood for. A little closer. It's not the same, but it'll be similar. I know that the collar on the Sierra pullover is a little odd. It flares out, so when it's sewn to the neck, and then it flares out. And that's just a style. It's not that it's wrong. It's just not where I would want it. All right. So also, like, I might be making an error by lining up the front necks here right at the same point. They're probably not at the same point. So maybe what I can do is look for the shoulder line, even though my shoulder line, I don't know. You're kind of flying blind at this point. So I'm going to try and keep my center front and center back parallel to each other, like this, and try and find that spot. And I think it's about right here. I'm going to do about right there. And I'm going to trace this neckline. And I'm also going to use my tracing wheel because I have some paper overlap there. All right. So that's my new neck. So I just filled it in that much. That's looking a little better right there, to be honest. That shape. It's a little pointed right there. Why is this weird? That looks why is that so crooked? Did I accidentally cut that? Not a professional pattern. Carol, how's it going? All right. That back neck looks so tiny. That back neck looks so tiny. Look at that. Look at this back neck compared to this one. You know why that is? That's the shoulder line. So I'm actually gonna bring the shoulder forward a little bit, and that won't change anything. But remember how I was saying my front armhole was bigger than my back armhole? And usually your front armhole is about 3/4 of an inch smaller than the back, thereabouts. And so I am definitely kind of being a little bit like kind of taking liberties here. So if this was 10 1/8 and this one was 9 7/8, if I added an 1/8 to this one and took an 1/8 off this one, they'd be the same, right? So we'll pretend like we did that, right? We're going to take off an 1/8 here and then plus an 1/8. Now, if we wanted them to be about 3/4 of an inch different, now we're going to have to come further 3/4 here and add a 3/4 there. So let's not go that extreme. We'll do like, we'll take off a 1/2 inch. So total, I'm going to take a 5/8 off this front shoulder. I'm going to add 5/8 to the back shoulder. My only thing that I might have to watch out for is the sleeve notch at the center. I need a piece of paper. The shoulder line isn't that important, but I don't like the shoulder when it's on the back of the garment. I think it's better to have it slightly forward. You should be able to see the shoulder seam when you're looking at someone wearing the garment. And it doesn't mean that it has to be that way. And there's a lot of patterns drafted to where they're not like that. So I just think like it can lead to more comfort, because when you have the seam, you're also giving it that anchor point, and the garment's falling from that spot. And so when you're talking about garments that you don't want them to like do this, like shift to the back or something, they're not going to if you have an actual shoulder seam, but they are going to be a little bit more prone to pulling to the back a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, it just visually looks really strange when the shoulder seam's on the back. And I know a lot of pattern drafters who do that. And I actually think that it's probably a teaching method, because I've known a handful of pattern drafters to do it. And when I go to work at that company, I change all the patterns. So I would much rather know where the shoulder line is, and putting it on the back gives me no clue than where it's at. I'm like, okay, where's the shoulder line? And it also helps to put it there, because then your sleeve, the ease on the sleeve, if you're doing a woven garment, then you can equally divide the ease on the front and the back if you have the shoulder line and the cap notch in the proper place. So this is kind of advanced stuff, pattern drafting I'm talking about. I'm just saying it because I know what I'm doing right now is a little bit vague. So let's lay this on here. So this is looking a little better to me. Like if I line this up at the shoulder point right here, the front is lower than the back, and that looks a little bit more balanced to me. Okay, let's do some fun stuff here. We're gonna move this stuff on the floor as well. Get this pattern piece or fabric paper here. Gonna move you there. Let's do a pocket. So let's see, what do we want for a pocket? I mean, is this going to be a good pocket? If this were me, that could probably work. I could probably bring that up a little bit more. And I put a seam right here. You see that? I didn't make it go to the side seam. So for my mom, you know, since she's pretty small, I do kind of run out of room right here. And the reason I had put the seam away from the side seam was because, do you ever have that pocket where it's so big, but you're like, oh, it feels like it's going on to my back? And it's because that seam is so shifted. So this is a pretty, you know, narrow front. We probably could go all the way to the seam if we wanted to save a little sewing. Do we want a little curve here? What do we want? What do we want here? I think a curve is easier to get into. Get your hand into. The depth is, it's not very deep on the side. It's like 4 inches. And once this is hemmed, it will take away. Because remember, when we hem this up and we stitch that down, it's going to take away pocket volume right here. So look at that. The pocket just got a lot smaller, you know. So we might be able to raise it up a little bit more. Maybe like right here. I mean, I think that could work. Okay, let's draw that in. And when I do the muslin, what I'll do is I'll just draw this onto the sample to see if that's in the right spot. That doesn't look like it's at a right angle, but I think it's just an optical illusion. Okay. All right, so that's going to be our pocket, and we can trace that. And that's the pocket that drawn here is the finished size. So okay. I determined the pocket height, like how it fits on the body. Like you wouldn't want this thing up here, right? My mom is much smaller than me, so, you know, that's pretty high up, but I think that when I put my hand in my hoodie at home, it's a little bit lower, and that would be more akin to her size. So it's purely like position on the body. Like there are some starting point measurements. I don't know those off the top of my head right now. So I would just look at how, like when you're looking at the person and when they're doing this, you know, putting their hands in their pockets, they're not going like this, you know, hunching their shoulders up to get their hands in. It's very natural movement. Oh, I know. I don't either, Nancy. I don't like the patch pockets. Like there's just no imagination there. So, so yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Shem. If I put this shoulder or the armhole under my arm, yeah, I think that is a good starting point. All right, so I'm going to add 3/8 of an inch seam allowance to this top edge because this top edge is only folded under and sewn. The front edge has seam allowance, the bottom edge has a hem allowance. And then right here, because it's a curve now, you could do a couple of things. You could make a facing, or you can try and hem it. I think that's a big enough, a sharp enough curve that I could probably hem it, but I think it'll be kind of tight. So I think binding or a facing is a better option there because it's woven. If it were knit, you could get away with it probably. It's the only thing you got to worry about with a curve. If it were straight, it would be easier to hem. You could just do, you know, make sure you do a hem shape on each corner so that your hem doesn't fall short of the seam it's being sewn into. So this went into the side seam, so that has its seam allowance. So we'll just make a little facing. You could even do binding. Binding is nice. Would I do binding? Maybe I would just do binding on this. That would be very clean. If you were doing something like a cozy hoodie, you could line this whole pocket with something fuzzy, you know. I did, Shem. Yeah, binding, right? I think binding is a good... The thing about binding is it can still give me some diagonal wrinkles, and I'm thinking a facing would be nicer. If you wanted this to be zippered, you need a straight line. You could do that, or a very gentle curve. Like you can't do a very steep curve with a zippered pocket, but you could do a zippered pocket too. You just need to figure out how you're going to clean finish the zipper on the other side if you're going to try and keep it simple. I'm trying to think, do I want to do binding or do I want to do a facing? I think I'm going to do a facing. I mean, we all know I love binding. Doing the like dirtiest pattern drafting ever here. Okay, so I'm just tracing this off on here, and I need to do some notches. Because you would never know. Oh man. Oh man. I thought I had a big enough piece of paper there. Darn. All right, so I think about 1 1/4 inches would be enough of a piece of a facing. You'd end up with about 3/4 of an inch finished facing, depending on your seam allowance. I'll probably do a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here because it doesn't really need much more, and you're doing those tight curves, you'll end up trimming it off anyway. So you might as well just, I'm taping this to this, but honestly what I need to do is tape the little piece I cut in there. All right, so it's hard for me to see too. Sorry, I'm sure you can't see very well what that line is. Okay, so I just need to tape this little piece of tape there. Okay, so there's my facing. Made a mess doing that one. Now, I don't think I'm going to do binding because I really want it to lay nice and flat. And binding will still give me a little bit of torque, you know? All right, so I'm going to tape this pattern piece. We'll probably forget to cut it out. But I'm just going to tape it to here. And if you have something like a print or something like that, you're going to want to trace your grain line onto this piece here. And the grain line is obviously parallel to the center front, like this, right? And then you can kind of go, okay, let me try and get some grain line on here. And I'll just transfer it like this. And now I have grain line on this pattern piece. Okay. Pocket for everything. He really does. Yeah, well, I think that would pull on your neck, Shem. I've been thinking about making a gardening tool belt, but I want it to snap to my pants. Tool hoodie. Okay, we have our front pocket. Okay, hand pockets. All right, let's do our back vent. All right, and I want to look at my mesh. let's see what I actually have for mesh here. Okay, so I have, oh boy. All right. I don't have a whole lot of technical fabric left. So I have, these are right here are, you know the magnetic screen doors? This is a failed one, like one that we had for years and it finally died and I took all the magnets out of. So I saved it just for the mesh. So I forgot I have that. Here's a bag I can cut up. Oh, sorry, there's like cuss words on it. What is this from? Oh, this is from my She Fit bra that I bought. Oh, I have this. This is pretty old. I could really make her high vis. Whoa, that hurts my eyes. I can't even look at that. Okay, I have a bag of mesh. Okay. Let's see. This stuff's too stiff. Basketball mesh, I think they call it. What's in here? Oh. It's fake fur for the top of a stocking. It's a Christmas stocking. It really should go in the garbage. You know how I feel about fake fur. Fake fur really should never have been invented. It's the scourge of the fashion world. Did you leave wings on your face so it doesn't fall short? It's a facing. I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, right, Shem? I know. Now I have a little cart. And I also, you'll love this, I have to put in a little blanket or a tiny little quilt because eventually I just put Loki, our small dog, in there and I just, in the shade, and he just goes to sleep if he's in the cart. That's what I do now because otherwise he just stands there next to me like this, falling asleep on his feet. Like, oh, poor bugger. This I think can work really good. I save mesh from all kinds of weird things though. This was one of those stuffed animal holders. And then this was from where I used to work. I think I'm going to do the white though. I think that'll not show up back there. This is the She Fit bra bags. You never know when it'll come in handy, you know? I'm going to keep all of this out here though. Okay. Good. We're fine with mesh. I was a little concerned because I was like, oh, you have white mesh. And I was like, I wonder how big that piece really is. So mesh is kind of stretchy usually too. And that's what it looks like up close. It does have a grain line. All right, so we have plenty. So what I'm thinking about is I think I'm going to put this mesh right across the back, probably low on the armhole, because you're pretty warm right here. I think it's even better when it's kind of like right here, but I'm going to do an underarm vent, and I don't want to have to interfere with that. We don't want to be too sophisticated here, right? All right, so let's figure out. I'm going to put this like right here at the base of the armhole. We don't need to go like into this underarm area here, so we'll stick right here. And it's just going to be a pleat. I've had to design these so that they're waterproof and pass testing, like putting an actual vent with mesh, a hole in the garment, and it has to pass waterproof testing. I'm kind of, Michelle, yeah. Kind of. I'm going to yoke it. It's going to go on the back, across the back here, Shem. And so it's going to just be a way to kind of vent the garment because it'll be so hot. So I'm going to put it here, and you can see I have a little tiny thing here because I actually didn't think this through when I drew it. I just drew it on there, and then I was like, oh, I forgot to finish drawing that. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this off. And then we're going to add some paper to each of these. paper. So we're going to add a pleat to this. So what we're thinking here is something that is a pleat here stitched down, and so this is going to fold over, right, like that. And then the back is going to come up and meet this same seam line here. But maybe we can even bring it above. So it's a really big vent. We could actually bring this all the way up here. We could do a big mesh panel. And then this is just hemmed and maybe tacked in the center, so it's not flapping around. There's a few ways to do this. I kind of like that. So then this piece is going to go more like that. And this is going to be the mesh. And you're not going to see it from the back. And it could go down to about right here, and then the pleat covers it. All right. So let's draw this on the piece now. So this mesh will actually go to maybe like right here, right? So this piece is going to go up to there, and then this piece just needs a fold over hem. I won't go up to there. That'll be just too hot. All right, so let's see. It's an experiment. It's kind of hard. I mean, you know, when you're drafting a pattern like this and you're actually going to make it out of the fabric, you're doing worse than just sewing, you know, a home sewing pattern for the first time and it's a mystery, right? We're actually even drafting it and hoping it's going to work out. So we're trying to remember everything. And hopefully we will. What is up with the center back line? Why isn't it like fully straight? It's going to be a problem. I mean, I know I'm being cavalier, but this is ridiculous. I don't know. I hooked onto like 5 things just now. Okay. So we're going to trace this armhole shape, and let's see, where are we going to put that? Let's make it 4.5 inches tall. How's that? 4.5 inches tall. Okay. So now we have that. So mesh is a little bit weird, you know, and so we might, like, I don't know if you've ever seen these shirts, and sometimes the mesh is like kind of crumpling under there. I think that we can secure this shirt and it'll just be stitched down. It'll be fine. We don't have to do anything else. That's so true, Alex. I've done that before. Eggs. Okay, so this goes up there, but this is actually, I didn't need to attach this. That's so funny. So this one here is going, this is the pleat, and the pleat's going to probably, yeah, so let's add this. Let's add up to here, and then, okay, so this is how it's going to be finished sewing. This is going to be mesh. This is a seam line here. I didn't need to attach these. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these two apart, and we're just going to add seam allowances to both edges. And then it's done. Just add seam allowances to each of these edges. Don't lose track of what you're doing. And then we can also add some notches so we remember what is the top edge, which is the bottom edge. right? Okay. Patchwork pattern. Oh shoot, I cut that off. Oh man. We don't want to cut that off because Saremy will accidentally not put it on the fold. Fold. And we're gonna, where's my blue marker? Didn't that sound like my window was open? Walter! Walter, it's so nice to see you. Oh, that, yeah, right, Shem? I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I have had an orchard. All right, so we're going to do a single notch here, and we're going to put a double notch on the bottom. And then double usually signifies either bottom or back, and in this case, it's both. Let's put our, right? So we have a notch, and the double notch, I'm going to put it 1/4 of an inch to the right of the center line. So then when it's opened and both sides are notched, it's a double notch, okay? And then there's a center notch. So that means top, always. It always means top, and then double will mean bottom if it's on something like this. And then we're going to add our double notch to this one here, which I feel like I just messed up by cutting along the center back there because I'm being really a bad pattern drafter right now. Okay, so that's our seam. Okay, so now this piece here, the mesh is just going to get sewn like that and then top stitched to the back here where it lays flat. And so to line this up to this piece here, we're going to need a notch at the armhole. So let's just make sure we know where that's at right now. And we still need to add our fold. Yeah, you've been so busy, Walter. Yeah, the quilt's looking nice. Someone asked you if that was batik in the guild. I know you like doing the batik. I remember that batik quilt. It's amazing. What? Am I getting confused here? Let's see. This is like this, right? Yeah. Oh, right. And I wanted to move the mesh up behind the pleat. Okay. All right. So we're going to overlap this at the seam line. It's already a little bit not lined up there. Let's smooth this out here. And then we're going to put a notch for the top of the mesh at the armhole, like this. We're going to put the raw edge, not the seam line, the raw edge, like that. Okay, now we're going to add our pleat to our top. This will all be so much more obvious when we're sewing it, because I'm kind of doing this so quickly and so badly. Oh, that's a good idea, Shem. I used to dehydrate tomatoes when I would get too many, you know. I mean, there's no such thing as too many, right? Because you have to have a pressure canner to actually can tomato sauce sometimes, and I didn't have one. I didn't want to have to own one more gadget. It's not a gadget, but we canned a lot. Salsa, you know, is another one. But you can do like lactic acid fermentation, that kind of canning, which is really easy too. And really good for you. Okay. So let's add a little piece here. It kind of bugs me that all these pieces are on the fold and I'm drafting them like on a half piece, not on a whole piece. It's not as accurate. All right, so what we need is a fold back, right? So we can do the quick and dirty way. We'll just fold it on that edge, right? And we're just basically adding a hem, a nice hem, that's all. So we can do whatever we want. So we'll do like we're gonna have a stitch line here. So maybe we'll do like 1.5 inches, you know? 1.5 inch, and we'll also add, we'll make it a clean finish. I'm going to add like 1/4 inch to that. Okay. It's so funny to use the rotary knife for cutting stuff out. It's so, I feel so naughty. Okay. Let's tape this here. Tape all this like patchwork of shoulder reparations there. Okay. And now let's write down that we gave ourselves 1 3/4 inch clean hem. Okay. Mesh back 1. All right. What's next? We need to do the hood, and we need to do the underarm zip or underarm vents. I don't need this either. Okay, this is all scrap paper. So how do I want to do the underarm things? Let me think about that. So if I'm going to draw on this piece here. Oh, wow. Batiks are so tightly woven. There's so much work. I love them, but gosh, that is some tight fabric. You can get a single tint. Wow, wow. Pasta, paste sauce, whole, and pizza. Yeah, that's great. I got a huge dehydrator when I had the orchard. I sold my mountain bike and got a dehydrator, and it's a 10 rack thing, and that was the best purchase I ever made. It wasn't even that expensive. No, not really, Shem. Just a seam allowance for the zipper closure. And I did a 3/8 inch seam allowance. 1/4 inch is good too, for the way I like to put them on. I think 3/8 is better though. So yeah. And I actually didn't trim anything off the center front. So I might want to think when you think about it, because what happens is, right, you have this front, here's your hood, right? Here's your pocket, right? And so the zipper here is exposed for most hoodies. Now, if I wanted to make it so that it's not exposed, I would have to add a little bit more seam allowance. But because it is exposed, I should actually probably take some off, because right now what I have it doing is meeting right here at the center. And it's not enough to actually meet at the center, covering the zipper, right? So that you can't see it. I'm kind of in between right now. All it would do if I didn't is make the jacket about 3/8 or 1/2 inch total in circumference bigger. So what you do is you figure out your zipper. Like my zipper tape is 1 1/4 inches wide. If I sew on the shirt to it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the zipper, even though I know I put a 3/8 inch on the fabric, I'll probably leave that, but I'll only use a 1/4 inch on the zipper tape. That leaves 3/4 inch exposed right here, right? And so you would conceivably want to trim off half of that off each front, so 3/8 inch off front. And it's funny because I always do this. I go through this whole thing, and then I realize, oh, I didn't even need to add seam allowance. Like that would have, not adding seam allowance accounts for that. So I'm just going to leave it for now. You'd get yourself a freeze dryer. Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, the dehydrator is great though, Nancy, and if you go too far, it is a little bit like it's freeze dried, you know? I got it down with the apples. I could do a 5-gallon bucket, would fill up an entire dehydrator. It took me 1 hour to peel, core, slice, and I had a thing for that, and fill the dehydrator. So the most time that it took me to do a whole dehydrator was picking the apples. That was the hardest part, the most time-consuming part. So I would do that in the evening the day before. You know, like when I was putting away the chickens, I would just take a bucket and I would just go around picking out 5 gallons of apples, schlep it up to the house, and in the morning, right after I dropped my kid off at school, I would peel and core slice the apples, fill the dehydrator, and then like a day and a half later, empty it all out and do it again. It was great. It used so much apples, and you could use them all day, all year long, and you know every kid loves them. Okay, so what I was going to work on is the pit zips, or pit things. So let's look at that. I have to think about it. So we have our design here, right? So now I could do something similar like I have back here, just like a vent, but it's like an inset. You know what I mean? So there's ways where you can go, like, let's say that here is the armhole. Here's the front or the back. We'll say that's the back. This is the front. That's the shoulder. This is the armhole. And so let's say the sleeve is here sewn in, and we're looking at someone going like this, right? So this is their wrist, right? Okay. Now you could do something where, you know, and this has this underarm seam, where you're putting in a fisheye vent of mesh. This would probably be the most functional way to do this. Putting in a mesh gusset. I like that idea. I think this would actually be the easiest to sew. And so there'd be no seams here. This would be a solid mesh piece. I like that. I'm doing that. So the other option would have been to do something where you have a set-in vent. This would be stitches, not a seam, but you would actually have a seam. So you're basically doing a welt. This is the underarm, right? That seems a lot easier, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. I have to update my drawing. Like this. It'll be white. You know? It'll be exposed in white. So. Oh, you're going to have a root cellar that you can keep apples for so long in those. Yeah, a root cellar would be really awesome. You might have a place on your property, Shem, that you could use as a root cellar. That is exciting, Donna. Do you have like a basement? I don't know. We don't have basements in California very often. All right, so we're going to draft a gusset. I don't think we've ever done that before. That's why I'm kind of excited about it too, is we've never done that before. So right now, this is what our sleeve is looking like. The farm I worked at in Colorado, they had a massive root cellar, and they stored so much in there. It was my first time ever seeing one. You know, I literally grew up on the block next to Disneyland, so root cellars weren't common. And I was like, a root cellar? Like I kept saying, we're going to put it in the root cellar. Just put it in the root cellar. And I was like, I have no idea what you people are talking about, you know? Okay, so sometimes what I do is I look at a sleeve, right? So I actually didn't think about kind of going over this in my sleeve skill building thing. It's only a visual thing and it's not kind of critical, but I will look at how the sleeve, if I'm overlapping the cap to the armhole, and I'm getting it pretty parallel right here, right? You're not, like, if you do a lot of it, you can do a lot of it, right? So let's try and get our sleeve sewn right here. And then I look at the shoulder line. If this is like this, you're gonna have a problem getting your arm up, right? You're gonna have, it's a very narrow upper arm. And so what you're looking for is something that gives you the greatest range of motion. This is actually looking pretty good. I think it's a little big. But the funny thing is, I don't think there's any ease right now in this sleeve at all. And I forgot about that. So we might have to add a little bit of ease, because we just made it different. This isn't 10 1/8 anymore. I'm gonna do this really quick. I just kind of want to know where I'm at. So now we're at, because we moved the shoulder line, we're at 9 1/2. Oh, that sounds so much more normal. And then as far as the back goes, oh, we could put a notch on this piece here where this pleat goes. Let's do that. Okay. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, okay, shim. That'll be big though. Apple, cherry, walnut, pear, and hazelnuts. Oh yeah, that's a very similar climate to what I had, because I had hazelnut, apple, peach, cherry, and pear. Walnuts are grown here. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so let's measure this one here. Did I trim this off? No, I made it bigger. That's right, yeah. I'm like, I didn't forget to trim that off, right? 1, 2, 3. So this is 10 1/2 now. 10 1/2 and 9 1/2. Ah, that sounds so much better. 10 1/2 and 9 1/2. And this is 10 1/4, so 20 1/2. So it's only a 1/2 inch bigger. So here's the front cap right now. We could make this a little bigger. Give us a little more ease, because right now this is 20 1/2 and that's only 20. So let's add a little bit more ease to our sleeve here. And we're just going to do this by cutting straight down the center of the sleeve. I don't actually know where the hem allowance is, but I'm going to work on that later. And we're going to add a little piece of paper here. This is going pretty quick. It probably isn't for you guys. This is probably so dull, but so I think, personally, I think 1 1/2 inches of ease in a sleeve is ideal. It's kind of at the upper end, but you can get up to 2 inches. 1 1/4, I wouldn't go any lower than a 1 1/4. We have a 1/2 inch of ease right now. So if we want, we could add, I didn't give myself a big enough piece of paper really to do much more. So we'll just do 3/4 of an inch extra. All right, I can barely get that there. Make sure you do it on the seam line right here, you know. Make sure you do a better job than me too. Wouldn't be hard today. Let's put this piece of paper. Okay, and I know people probably cry at how much tape I use. And I'm actually fairly environmentally conscious, but as a professional pattern drafter, this is the one thing I was like, yeah, I have to have the tape. Got me into trouble too many times. Not. And now I use the green Scotch tape they have, which is kind of cool. They didn't have that before. All right, so now your center line's in the wrong place, but your old one, and go to the center of what you added, and that's your new center line. Okay. I love how I write sleeve. Like I wouldn't know what that is. I don't think it's going to be added to give better easy movement of the arm. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And in crotch gussets too. Yeah, we're all going to visit Donna someday. Like, she lives in a very historic, adorable little town. Okay, so this is 9 inches. I'm going to leave that circumference, but let's look at the length of my sleeve here. I think don't you live like where Plymouth Rock really is? Like the actual place. Americans don't realize that there's a real Plymouth Rock somewhere besides America. Okay, so we're going to have our back, and we're going to attach it to the sleeve here as if it's sewn. Something like that, okay? I overlap the armhole seam to the sleeve here, and then I look at the length from the center back neck, not the shoulder, at the neck, the center back neck. And it's kind of, you know, it's a little bit weird, like you kind of have to bend your ruler, kind of pivot it right here. Often, if I have to do this measurement a lot, I'll even mark on here that was 18, so then I only have to measure this. 18, and so hers was 27, so that's 30, so right here is 27. So let's just make this a little shorter. And put in a hem shape for the hem. I'm just going to draw this on here. All right. So now we're going to check the circumference again. And it's now down to 8.5, and her wrist is 7. I could probably add a little bit more because we want to do an elastic wrist. I don't know about that. It's actually going to be up here, though. Okay. So if we fold... Oh, this is where we want it, right? Oh, okay. Okay, if that's my fold line, I still need a little bit of fabric for the hem shape. We'll just use this. We're going to put it here on the sides. We could all sleep with the root cellar. All right. So I am going to allow myself a 1-inch hem because I'm going to put elastic in there. So it's going to actually have a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here because it's going to turn under. So that gives me 3/4 of an inch to put the elastic in. The elastic will probably be 3/8 of an inch wide. So if my sleeve is right here, ending right here, we need a little bit of a flare so that when this folds up, it gets caught in the underarm. So we're going to add that in. Like that. And so what I do is, you know, I draw in, you need to know where your cut line is here at the bottom. You need to know where your fold line is, the finished hem. And then you need to know where, you know, the hem allowance. So mine is a total of 1 inch. So if I make a little 1-inch mark above that fold line there, and then I take my ruler and I make it perpendicular to these 3 lines, right? And so usually what I do is like I take like one of these prominent marks on my ruler and I line that up on the fold line. And I'm going to slide it over to when it hits this point where the hem's supposed to touch, right there. And then I mark that point down here, which I barely have enough paper for down here, at the cut line. And now I angle from the fold, the finished hem, to that point. And so I'll show you what it looks like. So then I have this little flare so that when it folds up, it's going to meet the underarm seam. Can't skip it. It seems a little bit complicated, but the other way to do it is just to fold your sleeve on the fold line and then cut off the edge here. Just cut off your underarm and then you'll get that natural flare there. Oh, I've talked with Donna about her cottage and it's really cool. Tell them about the a really cool document thing. Like she's got documents from the town from hundreds of years ago, from the 1700s. Like people's water, you know, rights and deeds and stuff like that from the whole town. That's where they store them, at her house. Yeah. Oh, right, Shem. Yeah, that grid thing. The patchwork quilt that you see from the plane. This town, the big town that's near me, the planning is so terrible for it. It's so frustrating because there's a huge city park, like massive. It's one of the biggest in the country that goes down into the town. There's also railroad tracks and a couple rivers and a university and a downtown. And so the way they navigate around all these objects, it's awful. Okay. We're all coming to see Donna. Getting more than you bargained for, Donna. All right, now we just need to do our underarm gusset, right? And that's it. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, the hood. Can't forget the hood. Right now I can use the hood as is, but I don't want that. It's a 3-piece hood. Oh, to the cottage there. Yeah, that is so cool. All right, so our gusset, this isn't going to be a gusset that gives the person more room. We're going to remove fabric and add and replace it with mesh. You can add a gusset to an underarm area or a crotch to give you more room. They don't usually change the silhouette too much unless you're going to look at some of the Renaissance garments that, you know, they didn't have scissors back then, so when they cut their cloth, they ripped it, and so they only had squares and rectangles for their pattern pieces. And so in order to get, if their shirt was like this, right, this is they could cut they didn't even cut that. It was actually a straight thing, right? So this is the shoulder. This would be the armhole right here. And what they would do is they had this little piece of a square fabric, and they would fold it in half point to point, like corner to corner. And then they would sew that in here. And then the sleeve was also a straight thing. And then it would give this little gusset right here, would give your arm a little bit of movement. And then I think that how did they do, I can't remember how they did like round necklines. Oh, okay, Donna. Have a good night. Enjoy. Let us know what it's all about. I love that your little post last time about the shoes. Yeah, she's got to get out of here before we're all booking our trips. All right, so let's see. I think this mesh thing being like 3 inches wide total is enough. So let's draw in our seam allowance here just so we can visualize it, right? We're going to make it 3 inches wide max at the middle, which is going to be this juncture of the sleeve and the armhole. So we only need about 1.5 inches here. Okay. And then making it about, we'll make it about 9 inches long. So let's split the difference. We're going to do 4.5 on the sleeve. So that's this, right? And then we need to do the same thing here. So right there. So if I draw on the seam allowances, and I make it about 1.5 inches wide, and then I make it 4.5 inches long. Gussets are some of my least favorite things to, I don't mind drafting them, that's easy. They're my least favorite thing to grade and check. I don't have a whole lot of least favorite things, but that is one of them. And it's because the sewing of them is like checking your measurements when you grade the pattern is kind of annoying. All right, so now here we have our little mesh thing here. I don't know if you can see it. But when we do this, it's actually going to be on the fold, this piece. So that means that when this is sewn, let's pretend like this little piece exists right now, because it's going to look like this. Can you even see that? You can't even see that. Oh, I'll make it darker. Let me just get a piece of paper. So the mesh gusset is going to look like this, all right, like an eye. And so this center and this center, this right here is, that little point is right here, right? But because this line right here is a curve and this is a curve, what's going to happen is when this mesh is sewn on here, because we're not going to shape it, you can actually spend time shaping the mesh and everything, and it would be like kind of the same, kind of in line, which actually would be kind of nice. If you don't, what happens is, say we straighten this out and we get a nice straight line here, so that piece, this piece we're about to cut out right here, right? We get this in a line to get on the fold. What happens is that you can see this piece right here and this piece right here. If you were to line those up, you'd have this little gap right here, and it's about 1.25 inches. And so this right here of a gusset, that's all extra, and it kind of bags out right there. So that's the drawback with certain gussets. If you don't make the gusset look more like, make it 2 pieces that look like this. So in other words, oops, this piece right here and this piece right here, right? And you leave that in there. And so like this quadrant right here is this right here. Does that make sense? I don't know if you guys care, but I see people add gussets. They're like, my sleeves didn't fit, so I'm going to add a gusset. and it doesn't go very well, and it's because of this little thing here. It seems really easy to just add it, and I can even show you on this dress right here. Remember when I fixed this dress last year? I have this beautiful dress. Fabric's amazing. I've made this dress 3 times before. If it fits perfect. I still wear those dresses, by the way. Like, it's not because I've changed, my body changed. I don't know what happened when I made this one, but it doesn't fit me. And so I added a gusset last year right here to get it to fit me, because it has a side zip. And I added a gusset to the side zip. Like, it doesn't fit me by a lot. And it did pretty good, but it's still not quite right. And I'm not giving up on it quite yet, because I love the fabric so much. But it's still in the naughty pile. I hate having a naughty pile. There's not many things in there, but that is it. So I think I'm going to do a shaped gusset. I'm going to still keep the these on the fold, but not them together. All right, so what does that mean? Get to the point, Saremy. It means that we're going to cut this little piece off here, and we're going to add seam allowance to it. I know, that dress is, I really want it to work out. Front, sleeve. So let's just cut this off the sleeve symmetrically. It'd be really nice if the gusset can be the same pattern piece for front and back, but we'll see. Or sleeve and bodice, but we'll see. They might not be able to. All right. So now this piece actually, we can actually just lay it on top of itself. And we kind of have our pattern piece there. All right. So I'm just going to tack this with tape and hold it right there. And then we're going to add seam allowance to that, because we need to add back seam allowance. I could have left it on there, but I kind of wanted to make that piece easier to draft. Naughty pile, the failure bin, and the naughty pile. I learned that from the sewing community. The naughty pile. Why is that pattern? Why is this piece of paper not big enough? Okay. I'm happy to explain anything like more in depth or be more instructive. I just don't assume that y'all are interested in my crazy projects. So always feel free to ask. And if you're in the guild and you really want like a good, more instruction, especially if you're like, go to workshops, please just ask. Okay, so I need to add my 3/8 of an inch back here. But if you're not in the guild and you're here and you have a question, always ask. Always ask why or whatever, how. Happy to share. Okay. Yeah, I think this will fit better doing it this way. It'll be more comfortable and it won't do something like weird like bag out under there, and it'll be also less conspicuous. All right, sleeve's done. I don't really need a notch for that because it's going to get sewn to lining up with these edges here. All right, now this piece here. So I don't know, Alex. That's a good question. Like PayPal or something. That's actually a question for Mighty Networks. You know what I mean? And their help, it looks like a little life preserver, I think, in the app or on the computer. Their help is actually really good, and if you see their live chat, it's actually really good too. They're very responsive. Okay, so that was cut on the seam line. So this piece will need seam allowance as well. Oops. So I just kind of overlap those two sleeve pieces on the underarm seam line. That's what I did there. And now I'm kind of refining it, making sure it's actually symmetrical. And I have all my seam allowances. I need to add like 3/8 here. I'm doing a bad job here. So when you have these really long points like this, so you see this goes here. I get this really long point right here. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of makes it a little tricky to know, when do I stop drawing this long point? You know, because you can actually, you know, put a right angle to it, and then I'm not explaining this well. Let me just cut it out and we'll check it, and then I'll be able to show you what I mean. Like here's another good one. So you see how we have this point right here? All this little extra right here, we don't need that. We can draw a perpendicular line to this edge here and the seam line. Really the seam line. You're drawing a perpendicular line to the seam line here at that juncture. And you can trim this off now. You don't need that point. They don't do that in the garment industry because the cutting machine can't handle it. It's too narrow. Every layer would be like a little different. You know, it'd be like if you cut 10 layers of that point, you can imagine how that would be, right? Yeah, let me know if you need help, Alex. Okay, so then this is this gusset right here. No, this is the sleeve. I'm like, what? That's not fitting. So this is this gusset right here. So then we want to line this up on the seam line. You want to make sure it lines up with the cap or the, you know, the armhole right there. And then line it up on that seam and make sure that the juncture at the bottom is actually going to meet there. You'll probably have to adjust it. So that's there. Yeah, like this is a little bit. Can you see that? You want me to zoom in? Let me zoom in a little for you guys. I don't know if you're interested, but we'll just zoom in a little bit. It's hard to be interested if you can't even see what's happening. Is that okay? Let me know if that's too much. All right, so here we have this. Let's draw in our seam line. And then there's that juncture right there. So that little juncture right there, there should be 3/8 below it, but I ran out of paper. It needs to line up where the point actually is. And the point is actually right here, not down there. So we're going to shift this center fold. Let me draw it right here. Whoops, there. So we're going to put this juncture right here. This is the underarm right here. This is the gusset seam. There's a juncture right here. We're going to put that on this center line. We're going to line it up here like that. And we're going to tilt that around just a tiny bit like that. And now we're going to draw in the seam line again and make sure. Always gussets are really weird when you're doing these points and you have to double check them. So now I can see that this is actually the line I need. I need to get rid of all that. So we're going to put our seam allowance back on parallel to that. And we're going to trim off that extra. This is kind of advanced. So if it's hard to follow, don't worry about it, because I'm not even being that instructive. And then I'm going to lop off this point here. So I'm just doing a perpendicular line that's the seam allowance width away from that juncture right there, and we'll trim it off. And there we go. And so you see gussets, they'll like look like this where it's lopped off here and here. And that's correct. Okay, so this is the sleeve gusset. Okay, and now we're going to just draft our top. That's going to be a little faster this time because we know kind of what we want and what we're doing. All right, so here's our front and here's our back. Now our front and our back are actually very similar here to each other. So that's going to work in our favor. So we're going to trim this off of the front and the back at the same time. And same thing, we're going to trim it on the seam line. And it's going to be hecka awkward because see, like that's long point there. So maybe what I'll do, it's just always weird. Once I've been drafting these a lot, I kind of go, oh, I know how to set myself up better. But because I'm not in the habit of it right now, I'm kind of trying to remember what's my tricks for this. Okay, so now this one is a good example. You see how we have this curved side seam? When we overlap these two, we're going to get these curves kind of bowing away from each other. And so you have two options. You can just line them up at the bottom where they would meet here on the side seam. No, that's what I would do actually. And it's going to give you a tiny bit extra there, and that's about it. It's not bad. So, all right, so let's fold this piece of paper and we'll put this on the fold here, and I'm lining up the side seam of this little piece we just trimmed off on the fold. We'll just tape it on there. Now we're going to add seam allowance. Oh, I lost my notch on the back. I lost my notch on the back. Let's leave that there. Okay, we got a lot going on. We're going to add our seam allowance to this little piece here. And we still need to kind of suss out all these junctures and things. So this is the actual seam line, right? So we can do a right angle here. And this is the cut line. That's the cut line. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, that works. And then here, okay, that's kind of okay. Let's check it out now. Okay, so this is our little mesh piece. And now let's sew it on here. So this is a little harder to figure out where this goes. So we sew that like that. See, we're kind of missing a little bit right here. So let's open this up a little bit from the bottom up to the top. We're going to make like a little hinge here. I don't really want to lose a chunk right here at this side seam. So I'm lining up this piece I cut off on top here, right? That's where that was. And then how can I make this work for me? I need to take this off. Okay. So if this is here, I haven't drafted one of these in a while, and in some ways I feel like this is easier than it used to be, but in other ways I'm like, wait, how do I do this again? Okay, this lines up there, right? So I think that this needs to move. I need to add to this width here. Do I? No, I actually don't. Because that would be the seam line. Okay, let's get rid of that hinge. Okay. Yeah, because if this side seam was right here, right, it would line up nicely. All right, so do we have enough seam allowance here? See, oh, I think also this sewing to there. Oh yeah, this piece needs its seam allowance. Okay, cool. That's what we need. Okay. All right, so now let's find this spot again. I hate doing this kind of pattern drafting on a computer. It's so hard. It's in some ways you can do it a little easier, in some ways it's harder. I feel like right here I'm missing a chunk. This I'm okay with. It's up here. So if this was sewn there, I think this piece is missing that. That's what it is. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. I just needed to replace that seam allowance. All right. It's like this little bit right here at that armhole got trimmed off. Okay. So now we just need a notch so we know where this goes. That was there. So this goes right there. Right? We're going to sew this right there. We're going to lay it there. Yeah. Cool. That is my notch. This is my notch right here. All right. We're just going to transfer these markings to the back. And now that's our little gusset. If that wasn't confusing enough. Yeah, that would be a little more similar to on the computer. Yeah. I think if I were being more instructive, Shim, I would make it a little bit more logical and not so elusive. But the fact that we're drafting an entire design that I didn't even know anything about until yesterday at 3:30. Like I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't know what the features were until 3:30 yesterday. And then after that, once I figured out the design, I went on to do other things, you know, like house stuff. And so, like my day was done at 5. So, or I actually worked till 7:30 working on some stuff for the guild. And so, you know, that I have to go fast. Otherwise, this would take a few days to draft. Okay, this is the mesh, and I'm going to do this. So yeah, I apologize that it's not very instructive, but I'm happy to do it. I just don't want people to be like, oh, drafting again, you know. So if I took this piece, yeah, see, I have to start there. If I were to line that up to there and there. So I like notches to go sometimes to the cut edge, because a lot of times a sewist doesn't have, they don't have, the next step isn't done. So it doesn't matter where the notch, sometimes the notch isn't helpful because it's there as if the next step is already done. So see you, Walter. Nice seeing you. You got one button on. That's awesome. Yeah, I think, you know, also when you've been a paid person to do this, you have to be fast. So there's that. All right, we need to transfer. I need to add my seam allowance back onto the back. And then, oh, did I just throw that little piece on the floor? Yeah, here it is right here. I need this. Should just leave it. I should just tape it back on and get my seam allowance out of there. That's what I'll do. That way, this I might be able to preserve this notch where that back is. I'm still kind of butting up into that, aren't I? You know? Okay, let's transfer this. This notch is going right there. So maybe we could just use that same notch. It's a little cheaty. I should change the pattern piece, but it's only 1/8 of an inch different. And this might be the only time I ever sew this, so we're going to use it. Okay. All right. We have our mesh, we have our back, we have our front. We just need a hood now. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys. Thanks for reassuring me. This is my only live streams this month on YouTube. So I feel a little bad that I don't have like a fun little like, today we're just going to do this really cute top by this pattern company you've all heard of. I'm still worried because I trimmed off my wavy edge here. I'm a little worried I'm going to cut this on the fold. I have plenty of fabric, but I don't want to waste it. All right, so we need our front and our back where the neck is. Let's put these pieces aside over here, and we're going to draft our hood. This is the thing I'll probably be guessing at the most. Okay. So I kind of just looked at this North Star hood, you know, and I'm not going to use this pattern piece because, not all of it, like, because it's not the style I want. I just wanted to make sure I got that neckline correct because I don't feel like drafting that from scratch. And you know, look at this hood. It has the collar. So normally a hood would be more, like the one I'm doing is going like that, right? So. Night, Alex. Sleep well. You're juggling the kids and dinner while trying to... Yeah, exactly. Bath time. Oh my goodness. All right, I actually probably don't need these at all. I just need my hood pieces here because I have a starting point. But I'll give you some tips. I'm looking for paper. Any paper? Paper. I'll give you some tips on drafting one from scratch. I could probably look up I still have my book from when I used to have clients. Sorry, just a second. So, you know, when you it's like your secret sauce, you know, your book where you have all the patterns that you drafted for clients, but what I did was I kept their size charts and their finished measurements and all my tech sheets. And that was really helpful because then if they called, I would be like, oh, they're like, I'm at the factory and they need to know, is the grade really this? And I could look at that and go, yep, or no, or whatever. But it helps me when I'm like, oh, what's the hood depth on this one? I can look at all my hood depths and go, what I want. All right, so I'm going to draw my grain line on here. And I'm just going to put this hood on here and just trace off the shape. So this little thing here, just so you know, it's a needle sharp tracing wheel. It's very sharp and it just perforates the paper. That's all it's doing. It just transfers like little holes. Like you can hear it when I pick this up, they kind of get attached to each other. And it's a great way, like say you have a garment that you're wanting to copy, but you don't want to take it apart. You can use it to trace the garment pieces, fabric through onto the paper, or tracing other pattern pieces. Okay, so this is the bottom. The fact that there's no center back, notch is so weird. So we're gonna draw this grain line on here all the way so we know where the center is, right here. Basically, I just want to know what this width is right here. So on the seam line, what is this? This is 3/8 inch, okay. 3/8, it is 1 3/4 there, and more like 2 1/8 at about 9 inches up. And then at the face, it's 1 5/8. All right. So we're going to add this amount. Kind of like this. And we're going to take out that collar like this. So the depth I'm going for here, it's roughly about, I want to say like 9 inches from face right here to the center back. And you know, you can make it logical to you. Always make it logical to you. Like, okay, this is, if I were to measure myself from temple to temple, that's 16 inches, right? And so if this is 10 inches right here with the seam allowances, so it's more like 9 1/4, right? You've got an 1 1/4, and that's good, because what if this tape measure was kind of hovering behind my head, right? Because you don't, not like that much, but just a little bit, because it's not going to be snug against the back of your head, right? But the closer fitting it is, the better you can move around, and you're not looking at the inside of your hood, which is kind of common. So, and it's the same, you know, all these areas. Just kind of be logical about it. And then, oh, sorry. Let's do our hood height, you know. It's 11. And this one is quite a bit more. And you definitely need this hood, because remember, this measurement right here, it's not that. It's more like this. It's more like, let me see if I can get it to do it. Like this, right? So let's see. Always make it logical. If you don't know something, try and figure out something you do know whether you're measuring a garment in your closet. Even if you don't like it, you can go, oh, I don't like that. Measure it. Make sure you don't do that. So that's 27 inches, which is 13 and a half. So if we were to look at that like that, we still have quite a bit. It's at the 14-inch realm. So I think that's good. We're going to leave that. You need some neck contour because when you think about this going around, let me show you. If this were going around a person, right? Right? It's going around a person. If you need it to all be level, you're going to need to have a curve in there so that it can kind of seat in there without getting like a weird pucker or anything like that. So I'm not explaining that well because I'm kind of getting punchy and hungry. So just for a bit, and that was that. And that was clean and fresh clothes. Oh my gosh, water everywhere. Yeah. The cords and the snaps on the back, hi Nathmi, how's it going? Are to adjust how well it fits on your head, Terry. Did you see the one at the beginning? This one here? This is one I did 20 years ago. So you see how it has the elastic on the back here to cinch it going around the back, kind of this little neck area, the negative space there. And then the vertical one here, the Velcro, pulls it, you know, like this. And then you can get a hood that fits you so well that when you turn your head, it moves with you. You're not looking at the inside of the hood. So a lot of those are adjustments for that. And like the Kelly Anorak, if the Kelly Anorak had those kinds of like things on it, it wouldn't be too big, but it's just gigantic. All right, so I'm gonna just cut out this silhouette. And now what do we think about this bill? This little visor. You know, like, hello. I think it could be like 6 inches. I really have a loose line going here, don't I? Oh, I should make sure that this is going to match my neckline too. Let's drafting with Sharpies, am I right? Like, talk about something very inaccurate. I'm going to kind of trim this off a little bit like this. All right, let's see what our front and back neck. I measure this the same like I did on the armhole, where I measure, oh actually no, I measured the whole seam line on this. I don't know why I was saying that. All right, 3 1/8. And do I want to take off? I'm not going to take off 3/8 for the zipper I was talking about earlier. Wait, let's put our 3/8 on here. Since there's some angles happening here, it's better to draw in your seam allowance and then measure, because it won't be the same. Guessing by taking it, like just taking 3/8 off isn't the same, because you're coming at it at the wrong angle. So it's 5 1/4 plus. So let's see, 3 1/8 right here, 5 1/4 plus. Is quite a bit different. Okay, so look at how much I have to get rid of here. So let's leave 3/8 here. I need a hem allowance on the hood. So most hoods are shaped like this. Oh, you can't see that. They're shaped like this. Oh, shoot. So you see how this has a straight, it's perpendicular here and here. That's like a sweatshirt hoodie. This one has a curve. Oh, I think you should, Terry. Are you going to fit that hood? You should fit that hood. It's huge. Mine fits so great. But remember how much I took out of it? Oh, yeah, you can do a detachable hood, too. I think that would be cool. All right, let's take off some of this, and we're going to take it off at the back. So let's put our front neck 5 1/4. Measure on the seam line here. And then 3 1/8. Plus seam allowance. So we're going to trim all that off right there. Sorry, my hood looking pretty bad right now. I feel confident because I'm doing a prototype. Just hope my mom's home. Okay. We can fit this hood to her. All right. Hood. Was I going to do something else? What was I about to do? That was it? Is it done? I think it's done. Oh, the visor. I'm like, there's something I need to do. All right, so we're talking about 6 inches, and we'll just do it the width of my ruler. So what if it was on someone, right? So it goes like, the hood goes like this, right? It's wrapping around the back of the head, coming around the top. I'm thinking. Yeah, you should fit the hood, Terry. Yeah, Anna. I think that's a good idea. I think you should definitely consider how you wear your hair. But I think hoods are usually drafted not that great, especially with the indie world. I don't know. The Kelly, you know, it works. It's just gigantic. And that's fine. Like, it's actually like a look. It's not that it's not functional. It's a nice slouchy hood. It'll keep you nice and warm. It'd work on all hairstyles. However, you're definitely looking at the inside of your hood when you turn your head. It doesn't turn with you. But it's a casual jacket. It's not a technical outerwear piece, you know. So it's not that it's wrong. It's just really good to know about how big it is, because the jacket itself fits pretty good, and then the hood feels a little bit Little Red Riding Hood-ish, big. So, all right. So this little visor. So now I'm just kind of winging this right now. I think I can use stiffener to kind of give it the structure, which is washable and sewable and lightweight, and works really great. So I have a feeling that this has to be very not rounded right here, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to cut this out. I'm just going to put it on me. So if I have a curve there, I feel like it's going to be more like a duck bill. So maybe I need to make it a little bit wider, you know? Maybe it needs to be wider. If I flatten out this curve, if I even round it, it'll push against the hood and stay more flat and splayed. Whereas if I make it concave, it's going to hug too much. Oh, yeah, that's true, Terry. I really still think you should fit it. Just cut one out of muslin and just plop it on his head. Doesn't have to be attached to anything. Yeah, see, it might work for you, Terry. I have a lot of hair, but I don't have big hair, you know? You like the head on your Love Notions cake? Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. That one is like Little Red Riding, because it has the like drape right here, right? Okay, so I'm going to extend this a little bit. And then I think I'm going to fill in. And then you can try on the hood for you too, Terry. Like if you try it, make one for him and then try it for you, you'll get a good idea. Did I just lose that? I did. I didn't tape this. What? But I'm tape happy. All right, and so let's fill in a little bit of this. I wonder. So let's see if this was sewn like this. Often what I'll do too is I'll sew with paper with the stapler. The removable tape's probably not going to, oh, that might be okay. Let me look in the mirror real quick. Oh, that actually might work. But it can come down further. Okay. Okay. I've been really under, so like when I put it on, all right, so I have this, I'm holding the hood at the center. And so you can see it kind of cuts away here. So I feel like it could come down to like here, like 2 inches. So I really underestimated the length. Now I'm kind of getting into this, this bill idea. I'm kind of skeptical that it'll work. Like I put bills on, obviously put bills on hoods, but this application is a little different. And I don't want to over-engineer it. Kind of feels like it. Yeah, I say just cut it in a little bit of scrap. Even if you do it in the real fabric, if it's too big, you can just cut it down, right? Like you're not wasting it. And maybe it'll be perfect and you'll be like, Saremy, come on. Made me worry for nothing. Okay. Something like that. Let's try that. Oh no, don't do that, please. You just stay there. And you know what? I think it needs a taper. Wait, is that the taper I want? Okay. I kind of want it to blend in more. That's what it is. You know? Like this. Okay, so if that's like that. I don't know, can I do that? Maybe I don't want it to. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it right now. We'll find out a lot. It's no use worrying a lot about the fit of something really, really mysterious until you cut something out and check it out, because you're kind of wasting time. You can do a lot with your fitting, but once you kind of get into the really like, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, you should just cut out a prototype and sew it because you're wasting time probably. So I like the idea of calling that a visor, not a bill. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this out in muslin and I'll just sew it off camera and then I'll fit it on my mom and see. And then tomorrow we'll cut it out and sew it. Unless you want, I can try and cut it out before I start. I'll try and cut it out before sewing. I don't think you need to see me cut it out. And then we'll sew together starting tomorrow. I'm excited. So it'll be in this fabric with this cream. Maybe I'll use a cream zipper. I have, you know, I have the zipper by the yard. Oh, this isn't a separating. Oh my gosh, you guys. I need a separating zipper. I need a separating zipper. Oh no, I'm scared. All these are invisible. This, I got this little cheap pack of nylon zips that are just like to have. Separating jeans, invisible, invisible. Oh man, this is when I miss having a teenager to be like, can you please go to the store for me? Yeah. I have one separating zipper. Really? Yeah. Uh-oh. I thought she was gonna use a pullover, so I didn't even think about a zipper. Well, this might be long enough, but I kind of was thinking not black. Yeah, I can make this work. Should I use black mesh then? I always keep these little samples. Look, this is, here's a zipper flat. Wait, what is this? Oh, this is a zipper idea. What is this right here? Oh, this is a invisible zipper. I always keep my little things that, so I remember I have a bunch more of those. Okay. Maybe I should do, you know, oh, I have more zipper. No, this is all by the yard. I still have a lot of samples. I still have a lot of samples from Chicken Boots days. It's roughly organized. These are just random lengths of zipper by the yard. They could probably go in that bin, actually. Two-way 5.0 coil, 3.0 coil. Yep. Oh well. Oh well. At least we have one, right? I could order on Waywack. It'll probably be here tomorrow. Right? Yeah, I could do the zipper, order a zipper, and I'd get it by Saturday. So maybe I'll do that if they have it. Hopefully they have it. Because then I think I'm going to go the cream route. I think that'll look nicer than the black. I can totally see it as black, but you know, it'd be nice to kind of do the cream route. So I have a backup plan. So, hey Rebecca, how's it going? 20 zips on way, but I didn't buy any separate. Yeah, that's Michelle. That's that little bag. I just got that rainbow assortment because it was like $8. And what happens is, you know, I've gotten asked a couple times to sew for a pattern company, and I don't have the notions. And so I was like, just get a bag of those zippers. I can, yeah. You can, Nancy. You shorten them from the top. It's nice if they're the right size, though. But you can just shorten it from the top. So it is nice to have a couple on hand, but you're right. Like color-wise, it is exposed. So you do kind of want to match. It's not power mesh, it's just mesh. It's going to be for, I'm making a sunblock top for my mom. And so I put in a back vent, and I'm going to make underarm vents out of mesh to keep it cool, because it's going to be worn in the really hot sun. And it's got SPF 50, the fabric does. So we just finished drafting the pattern. I hope the sleeves are full enough, but I'm going to do the muslin and we'll see. So, yeah. So this is from my scrap bin, and then this is the SPF fabric, and this is the only zipper I found. So I think that's all I need. And then, because I can use stiffener for the visor. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got it. Thanks for coming, you guys. So yeah, so we're done drafting. Hopefully I'll cut it before sewing tomorrow. There's no guarantee. I'm kind of busy lately. So I will definitely cut and sew. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Is that right? My computer for the first time ever was a day. The time and date were incorrect. It said it was yesterday at 2 a.m. I don't understand. I've never had my computer off. I had to manually change it. Oh, well. But it kind of was unsettling. I was like, well, what time is it? We're so dependent upon other things to tell us the time. Like, if those things are gone, you're like, I really don't. How would you know? The world could lie to me. I wouldn't know. My sense of time is pretty bad. Almost every day, my husband's like, do you have an ETA when you're coming home? You know, he's trying to be nice. I'm like, yeah, I'll be home at the usual time. He's like, okay, well, you know, it's 6:30. I'm usually home by 6. I'm like, oh, okay. So I need those clocks. All right. So we'll start sewing tomorrow, and we'll finish sewing on Saturday. And if you're not in my guild and you're interested, check it out. It's sosoguild.com. And I'm having a bunch of like events this month. Events. They're not parties or anything, but I'll show you what they are. Let me see. I'll pull them up really quick because they're kind of cool. They're free. I'm trying to find where I put that. No. Oh, yeah. Here we go. I'll just share my screen really quick, I think. All right, so I have, do I have a me and, yeah, I do. Okay, I know it looks crazy right now. We'll just do this. Okay, so I have, go away. Full screen. I have 5 Zooms and live streams in the guild only this month. The first one is this Friday. I think Friday it's how to measure a pattern and pick your size, which is 2 different things. So like say you're trying to pick which size to sew, we're going to do that. And we're also going to how to measure a pattern, like where to measure things. I think that's Friday. I also have a how to shop for fabrics online, because that's really hard. Picking a pattern, like how I pick a pattern and what I look for and what I avoid. And that'll be a probably pretty honest thing that you're not going to see very often on YouTube from me, but I probably will do more of that. And just, I'll be brutally honest about like, I won't pick that pattern because of this, and why sometimes I still pick a pattern even though I know it's not quite right. And then serger confidence is another thing. I don't know how to get out of this. So anyway, yeah, so if you're interested, check it out, sosoguild.com, and then you can sign up for one of those. Just go to the events. It's so fun, the So Guild. If you join, look for the events tab on the left side of the screen, and you can RSVP to any of those. They're all through. There's like a bunch this month, so there'll be a few other things. All right, anyway, I'm hungry. I'm going to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. It's really great to see you all, and take care. Bye.